What's that?
War were declared.
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now.
Now, in the last $2 scrambles, 2008 and 2020, 2008 because of the great financial crisis, and 2020 because of the lockdowns, you had these institutions that needed dollars fast to keep their books straight, and gold and silver fell while those financial crises were going on. In 2008, it took months. In 2020, it took weeks. Now there's another dollar scramble, and the Fed is going to have to supply the dollars that are missing because trade between Russia and Europe has been cut off. And as the Fed steps in and consumer prices continue to rise anyway, the Fed will have to keep the international banking system, dollar-based international banking system, going by printing more dollars and handing it to them by buying more debt as consumer prices are rising, and a financial singularity will hit where the Fed will be forced to print even though consumer price inflation keeps going up and up and up, and then the public is going to abandon the dollar, and that is when we will see gold and silver shine like never before. It is happening. It's happening now. I don't know how long it will take to play out, but the process has already begun. Hey guys, Rafi here from the Endgame Investor, and I'm sorry about the delay over the last few days. I've been having some computer problems. Got a new one. Gonna be getting a new camera soon. It's been a few days, but good thing, nothing has happened since my last video. Totally boring. You know, war broke out and Russia was cut off from the banking system, and who cares? I'm starting to see different strands of team reality, meaning the people on the right side of the virus issue, the people on the right side of the monetary issue, the people on the right side on the social politics issue, whatever they may be, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about if you're watching this channel. We are starting to coalesce. Now, where I belong in the scheme of things in this movement is on some kind of weird fault line between finance, economics, and religion. There's a video I'm going to put in the description below from Brett Weinstein of Dark Horse, the podcast. And he's talking with Chris Martenson, who's more on my side of things. But this podcast represents different strands of team reality coming together and unifying. And of course, you have the truckers in Canada and all over the world. We're on the logistics side of reality. Meaning people are starting to wake up in our different communities. And as far as it goes with me, if you want a taste of the other strand that I sort of sit on, the religious side of things, and I do give biblical commentary every now and then in my videos for a public, but my Patreon subscribers get a weekly video of my religious views on these issues centering on liberty. And if you want to sign up for as little as $3 a month, you will get those weekly videos. And it does support the channel, it does support me and what I'm doing here, and able to keep me independent and away from the system that is trying to kill us, or at least silence us. Anyway, the first question that I want to deal with, given the environment that we're in now, is what the hell is happening with gold and silver? And obviously, I'm going to say look at the big picture, not the small picture. What markets do any given day really is irrelevant. But then, obviously, I have to deal with the objections. Well, you know, when will the big picture be the small picture? When will the move come?
When will then be now? Soon. How soon?
Right now, we are involved in a currency war. And in a currency war, big institutions go for dollars. That is temporary, because while this is happening, a scramble for dollars is not pushing down consumer prices anywhere in any currency. The dollar is winning the currency war. The currencies themselves are dying. For some historical context as to what is happening now, I'm going to take you back to August 15th, 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window. This is what happened to gold in the immediate aftermath of that. It may surprise you. Gold, August 15th, 1971, that is around here, where gold is about $43.70 or so, August 15th, 1971. All of a sudden, Nixon closes the gold window, stops redeeming gold for dollars to any central bank, to anyone, closes the final link to gold. And what happens to gold? Logic would tell you that the reason Nixon closed the gold windows because gold is worth more than $35 an ounce. So what happens? Over the next 2 weeks, on September 1st, 1971, gold falls something like 8%. Now, what the hell is that? I'm sure all the gold bugs are saying, well, this is, this proves the Keynesians right, I guess. Nixon closes the gold window. There's less demand for gold because gold's demand is based on its demand for dollars, which was all BS. And then what happened? Okay. After that fall, gold stabilizes back up to this price it was at on August 15th, 1971. Still, the Keynesians have a point. The gold price hasn't moved much. But then what happens in 1972? Here's 1972. Daily gold, 1972. Here you have January 1972. We're still around $44 an ounce. And then all of a sudden, it took about 9 months for gold to start moving, meaning for the dollar to start falling against gold. And from May 1972 to looks like August 1972, so 1 year after the close of the gold window, gold had doubled from $35 an ounce to $70 an ounce. 1 year, it doubled. But for those first 2 weeks, it closed 8% down, and everyone was like, what the hell is going on? It's the same thing now, right? Russia invades Ukraine, and everyone expects gold to go up, and it doesn't. And people are asking, what the hell is going on? And then Russia is disconnected from the SWIFT system. Everyone expects gold and silver to go up. They do not. And everyone asks, what the hell is going on? Markets do this all the time. They always have, they always will. They shake people around. Now, what does that mean in terms of human action? What does markets shake people around? Market isn't a conscious thing. It's a homunculus. It's the collective consciousness of everyone, led by institutions with a whole bunch of capital that move it in response to world events. Institutions with way more capital than you and I will ever see in 1,000 lifetimes or more. They take actions because they need to. And we'll go into exactly what those actions are in a second. But after how long it takes for immediate dust to settle, then markets start moving in the direction to follow fundamentals. This always happens. It always will happen. You just have to let it flow through. Financial war sparks money market calls for emergency fixes. Something is happening in the plumbing of the financial system, way down in the sewers. Money markets are showing the most stress since the early days of the pandemic, as traders raced for dollars in the wake of toughened sanctions against Russia, prompting calls for help from central banks. The cost of converting both euro and yen payments into dollars using 3-month cross-currency basis swaps hit the most since March 2020. What is happening is that when Russia is cut out of the banking system, the financial transactions between Europe and Russia primarily, and the energy markets are stopped. And yes, they're saying there's going to be exceptions for gas payments and oil payments or whatever, but it's still going to disrupt a lot of flows. And that means that the firms that would have gotten US dollars from Russia for those payments are not going to get them, and they are not going to be able to pay whatever debts they need to pay, because the fiat system is a debt system. All debts have to be paid on time or the entire pyramid collapses. So right now there is a scramble for dollars. Now we have seen the ruble, the Russian ruble, collapse to over 100 rubles per dollar. I'm not sure exactly what number it is at now, but it's going to be very wild. Now, here's the thing, though. The Russian central bank, since 2007, has been on a de facto gold standard. How is this so? It is not reflective in the value of the ruble yet, because the Russian central bank has not declared the ruble convertible into gold, meaning you're not able to go to the Russian central bank and deposit a certain number of rubles and get a gold ounce, or the other way around, deposit gold at the Russian central bank and get a bunch of rubles. But the potential for that is there, and it's been there for over 14 years. How is that so? Take a look at this. The definition of a ruble, just like the definition of a dollar, the definition of any fiat currency, is a unit of liability of the central bank. The unit of liability is on the central bank balance sheet. The Russian central bank balance sheet is this: 542,88886 RUB million. That's how much rubles are on the Russian central bank balance sheet. Now, if you look at the Russian central bank balance sheet back in March 2007, which was 15 years ago, just before the great financial crisis, it was at 9500000. You do the math on the current central bank size of this number divided by this number, you get a factor of 5.7. So the central bank balance sheet of Russia has expanded by a factor of 5.7 times. Now, let's look at Russian gold reserves since that same period. This is Russian gold reserves. Gold reserves in Russia increased to 2,298.53 tons. That's where we are now in Russian central bank gold reserves. If you look at March 2007, the Russian central bank had 400.27 tons of gold. This is declared. That is an increase of a factor of 5.7 times. Same factor. Now, is this a coincidence? That is the question. Is it a coincidence that the Russian central bank has increased its assets and its liabilities by 5.7 times, and also its gold reserves by the same amount? Whether you look at the balance sheet or you look at the actual money supply, and they are different, they have both expanded at the same rate, 5.7 times. Now, what can Russia do with this? It can, theoretically, declare the ruble convertible into gold. They would have to do it honestly. And in order to do that, they would have to cut spending and put all the banks on a 100% reserve ratio for all demand deposits. It doesn't mean that banks can't lend. It means that banks can't lend demand deposits because they are available on demand. If a Russian bank makes a deal with a client, say that his money is locked up for 2 or 3 years, becomes a 2 or 3 year time deposit and earns interest on that, they can loan that out because it's not a demand deposit, because the depositor doesn't have the right to take it out at any time. So in a 100% reserve system, demand deposits are 100% reserve and time deposits are reserved based on an agreement with the bank. And this is sound banking based on sound money. Russia can do this, it would have to radically restructure its economy, but by doing that, it would bring the value of the ruble way up again, and it would make the dollar mostly irrelevant after a certain period of time. I don't know how long, until payment systems are devised for rubles that are convertible into gold. If Putin is going to do this, he will do it soon. We have to watch. Now, the big question for gold and silver bugs is, when will the metals respond? I believe the metals will respond, and respond for good, when the Federal Reserve hits the printing presses again. Because as this currency war between the ruble and the dollar, between the East and the West, gets worse, the demands on the dollar will go higher and higher. The dollar index will keep climbing, but so will commodity prices. And as people understand, as market makers understand, as commercial bankers understand that the dollar is losing value faster and faster, as the Fed keeps printing it to maintain control of the financial system, I believe in this case, the public will lead the commercial banks. As prices in the street for consumer products that are not being delivered into stores, that are first of all not being delivered to ports because of a war, and second of all, even if they are delivered to ports or not being delivered to stores, prices go up and up and up. The public will abandon the dollar and buy whatever they can. Real assets, food, clothing, shelter, whatever it is. And as consumer prices go higher and higher and higher, and the Fed does not let interest rates rise because they are in the middle of a currency war with Putin, the public will lead the commercial banks out of the dollar, and gold and silver will slingshot higher in very scary ways. Even for us, it will be scary. Even for people who hold gold and silver, it will be scary, because we will suddenly realize we are in a new monetary regime. And this could coincide with Putin declaring the ruble convertible into gold. He has the reserves to do it. It's public. This is not a coincidence that his balance sheet and his gold reserves have been expanding at the same rate. We are fast headed into a new monetary reality that is not going to be smooth, but those that prepare will, God willing, survive it. This is Rafi of the Endgame Investor telling you that we are fast running out of time and running towards a new era. Whether you want to or not, it is coming. This is Rafi of the Endgame Investor reminding you that then will be now soon.
Now.
Wow. Whoa. That was good.
Pretty good. Now.
Wow. Ah, that's unbelievable. Best of 7?